I don't know the fix of that because I've had that happen like one other time and we weren't able to fix it. Sometimes it's a glitch, but I don't know the answer to that. But you can hear me. So we're just going to continue a little bit of the reading. I, like everyone, juggling kids. My daughter had to go to work, so I was like trying to make it all work, and I had computer difficulties. But I wanted to share that with you because that is the life of the Pisces. That we live in this kind of world that we can't control. Like, have you noticed that? And you can kind of shake your head or not, but you know that it's so easy to be distracted by everything. One of the Piscean themes is kind of this circling that goes on in your life, where you're doing daily tasks, but you're not really quite there, and there's so much energy going on. We can go from our thoughts, our practical thoughts, to this other dimension, this other spiritual world, or this other world of creativity in our minds. Or we can tap into other people's energies very, very quickly. We can just pick up on things. And it is very difficult because the way that we operate, especially for you, you have so much of this energy. I mean, when I look at your chart and I see that, the top players in your chart, which is Sun, Ascendant, Moon, 2 out of 3 are in Pisces. And when you look into astrology, to really look at the most prominent part of somebody's personality, you look at the Ascendant, the Sun, and the Moon. Okay, that tells a lot about you. And even your looks, like how you look, a lot of times comes from the Ascendant. Now, it's interesting when I look at you because one of the traits of the Pisces is the big eyes, the big watery eyes. And it's because you have these intuitive eyes. And when you look at something, you're picking up the messages from it, the emotions from it, the subtlety in people's body language. You will pick up on the slightest little flicker in somebody's body language. If they're lying, or it's not like the Scorpio energy where they kind of feel this, intention and red flag type of thing. It's more of a, you just feel it, you see it. That's why people that have a lot of Pisces in their chart can do really well with animals, especially horses, those type of animals, because they pick up on all the little cues that the animal is giving them, where most people don't pay attention at all. Okay? Children, especially, you're going to feel, what's going on with them. So when you start to look at this energy, you start to realize you do, like you said, you have so many ideas. The other thing that's interesting about, like, even with looks, is being that you have the moon in Capricorn, a lot of times the Capricorn, you'll see the dark eyes, the darker eyebrows. That's not uncommon. So you're a beautiful blend of this Pisces Capricorn energy, just even in your looks. Once you get to know people, you'll start recognizing these things as you get into astrology. There's certain actual physical characteristics that the planets, give out. With having Venus and Taurus, that gives you that extra beauty. Anytime you see Venus in a chart, there's just a, it's just like, you can't really define it, but it's just very beautiful. And you may also have a good singing voice. Do you have a good singing voice? Do you like to sing? Do you like music? Yeah. So these are what I'm looking at right now for you, are called your inner resources. And it took me my whole life to learn that number one, what they were, and the fact, how to begin to use them. Now, the main thing that I want to share with you, and I have such a good feeling about you because I feel like you're already on that path, and I feel like you've been raised, just from the little bit you told me, around people that are strong healers and communicators and talk about spirituality. So you've had this upbringing. You've had this upbringing. It may have been a strict upbringing. because of the moon in Capricorn. Sometimes it's a more strict religious. Was it been pretty open, spiritual, or I'll have to you'll have to say yes or no because your voice isn't coming through. But there's a lot of structure to it, okay? And that's just, again, that's a part of the path that you have been on. Now, with the Pisces, one thing, and this is kind of a little something I want you to keep an eye on, Pisces is the 12th house and can often represent hospitals, rehabilitation centers, mental hospitals, prisons, because it's isolated places where people go and have kind of like that come to Jesus meeting, you know, when you're alone and you have that spiritual revelation. A lot of times happens when you're alone. And this can indicate two things for you. One, you can use this energy because the Pisces represents the two fish. And the one fish goes up into heaven, connects to the spiritual connection, and always hangs on. And you a lot of times can be a healer, but the type of people that you may attract, again, may have to do with addiction. You may have people that you love or care for that struggle with addiction in your life, okay? It's a hard theme, but it's going to be a real theme. You want to be very careful in your life because with that much Piscean energy, your body physically will, if you ever, you know, just, you know, you drink one beer and the next thing you know, the addiction would be much quicker for you, okay? Especially if you drink alcohol, it's going to hit you harder than most people. Your body will process it differently, okay? And in here we have this, you know, beautiful life, this beautiful opportunity, and it can sideswipe you. Because the other thing about addiction, and again, I'm talking honestly with you, when you are as psychic and intuitive as you are, it's sometimes hard to be that sensitive to everything. And a lot of times it wears us down. And if you find something that dulls the sensitivity a little bit, it's going to be very easy to want to do that, okay, or to want to escape from your intense emotional side and intuitive side because people aren't as deep as you. They're not going to feel as deeply as you. And sometimes you're going to feel, you know, if you're hurt about something, the Pisces often can bury that hurt for years and years and years because it comes out. It just doesn't, it's like you can remember how every emotion felt, and it's like if you recall it in your mind, you can literally experience that feeling all over again. Okay, so I mean, you're young right now, but these are some different things that I just want you to be aware of because the positive side of using this energy is being a spiritual teacher and pursuing the higher calling and learning how to use this energy while you're young. My generation, nobody talked about this stuff. So you see all the Pisces in my generation are addicts, okay? Because we come from a different generation that we had to stuff our emotions down. And we had to go to work and no time to be talking about how you feel about things. But when you're a person that everything you do is about feel, how do you push that aside? And often you can be made to feel like, you know, you don't know where you belong, or you don't know how to fit into the average circle because you really, again, are the old soul, okay? And that's why I really encouraged you to realize that the friendships you're going to have and a lot of what's going to come on your path is masters and teachers because you've got a higher calling. You have a very high calling. Okay, you know, if you have seen, you know, the pains of somebody go through addiction in your family or go through that around you, you're going to feel very sensitive to that. It's going to be very painful. But again, you have the answers. You have the healing answers, and it's just going to be a theme. because of the fact that you are an intuitive empath. Again, especially people struggling with addictions or, you know, lost in life, you know, they're going to look for you as the visionary. You can be the visionary for them. Give them a vision of their future. You also, learning how to use this Piscean energy, it's interesting because, like I said, I've had it all my life, but just now able to actually identify it and kind of give it a name. But I would get dreams of things that would come, and they would come to pass. And on the positive, even if I'm not sleeping, I can have a dream of something just hit me like a lightning bolt, or a feeling come over me, and I can see myself doing something in the future. And I'll see myself doing this thing, and it'll be like, oh my gosh, am I just, you know, it's always a good thing. Am I just making that up? And then now that I've lived this many cycles, they have all come true. And when you have that specific feeling, it almost feels like you go into this other world, you visualize this thing, and then your whole body just gets this flush of powerful energy that goes with that, right? And it's like you're alone, you're like, oh my God, and you can just sit there and totally dream up this dream. Well, I'm going to tell you, you're having that dream for a reason. It's not random. Okay? So if you're having these little dreams of something that inspires you, and I could see myself doing that, that could very well be in your future. Okay? So that's good news. You know, I so want you to get a hold of this gift you have. And you're going to have to really put yourself around strong people that you trust to kind of help protect you a little bit too, because you will be, again, drawn to people in need and not always able to see their true intentions. The Pisces energy is a lot more having or being able to look at life through rosy colored glasses. Seeing what you want to see in people, seeing what they could be. And, you know, often, and unfortunately, this has been a reoccurring lesson in my own life, that I'll see something for someone, and I want them to have it. I see their great potential. I see all this great stuff that they could have, and so I start projecting this greatness onto them. And if they truly don't have what it takes, or, you know, take the steps necessary, the hard work that it takes, a lot of times they'll be so excited by the vision and the support you have for them, but then, you know, they can often self-sabotage their own life in spite of knowing that, in spite of their potential. And that's heartbreaking for us. And usually when people, you know that they have great potential, and then you're the one that's encouraged them or seen that for them, and they don't want to follow that, they will a lot of times push you away because you represent the light. And you'll be like hurt. Oh my gosh, but it's not you. It's the light that you project. You project a beautiful light when you have all this in order, the light that can come through for someone. You just have to make sure that, you know, it's not enough to dream it for them, believe it for them. At the end of the day, you know, they've got to do what it takes, and you can't do it for them. You can only be the somewhat of the prophet, okay, giving a prophetic message. And I know, again, you know, I love that you're so young and you've already had some of these experiences through your parents, you know, but your spirituality is going to take on an individuality, and you know, at some point you begin to grow up, and, you know, the foundation that you had as a child, now you'll always have that, but, you know, it'll begin to map out possibly differently for you, and you've got to have that conviction and have that, you know, drive inside of you that goes for it. You know, that goes for it. Let me look a little bit here as well. So, the other thing I like about your chart, you don't have a lot of fire in your main houses. You've got this empath and this earth, this water and earth, I should say, with the Pisces, the Capricorn, the Taurus. It's like water, earth, okay? But where you have fire in your chart is your 6th house, which is your career. It's in Leo. And your 10th house, which is in Sagittarius. So I love that for you, because that is going to be also, I'm sorry, your 2nd house as well in Aries. So 2nd house, 6th house, and 10th house. God gave you fire. He gave you fiery energy. This tells me that you have a very powerful potential career. Okay, and financial security will come for you, can come for you. Now, usually for the Capricorn energy, this comes really powerfully in the 2nd half of your life, which happens after your first Saturn. And again, all this is recorded, so you can listen to it a few times and take notes later and look at your chart and stuff. But I'm looking here a little bit. Yeah. You could literally, you know, build a I see something like this. I see you could build an orphanage. You know, this is something you could do. You could build a church, okay? You could be the foundation of that. Even as a young woman, you've got powerful energy. And I made a little bit of a mistake when I was talking earlier, and I don't want this to confuse you. It's a close, you're on the cusp of this, but you actually have Aries in your 2nd house. I said you had Taurus in your 2nd house. That doesn't change what I said to you about having a gift for working with women at some point, or young girls. But it tells me that you are a self-starter and a warrior, and in the area that you value, that you're going to be somebody that could get on the front lines and make something happen. People will follow you. Okay? You are a leader. So, but you also have this ability, like I said, there's this little theme around you that I keep popping up again, that you will minister in a special, unique way to women. Now, every energy has, we talked a little bit about addiction, but every energy can also have a little bit of a shadow side. And the shadow side of the Piscean energy is getting in situations where, again, someone's controlling you, okay? Because there's a part of you that loves to please, and there's a part of you that would sacrifice your life for someone. That's the kind of heart you could have. And you just want to be careful. You're young, that you make sure that you, as you get to a point where you are looking for someone in your life, you're looking for love in your life, that you are picky and that you test them. Okay? You're not going to give this gift away to anybody. And, you know, you've got the moon in Capricorn, like I said earlier, kind of protects you. It's like your bodyguard. Okay? You need a little bodyguard, because you're like an angel down here on earth. You know what I mean? And in life, you know, there can be wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay? You will attract them, because they love your beauty. They love your soul. They want to take you, you know, it's just like this, it's this theme, and you have to just be strong about life and your convictions. And again, the earth will give you that. But I feel like you have a mission, like, you know, a calling, obviously a spiritual calling. Now, really, if you're in a position right now, like I said, the next 2.5 years, if you can get under a real pretty serious study of any kind, whether it's through, you know, your spiritual pursuit, or, you know, any kind of study, even business. Business would be good for you in college if you go take classes, any type of business classes, because you want to know how to navigate in the world of business. And you want to know how to, you know, be a strong, powerful woman and not have anyone mow you over. The Piscean energy can get so lost in everything that, you know, they don't have what it takes to navigate in the real world. Okay, a lot of Pisces are recluse. A lot of Pisces hide out. A lot of Pisces become, you know, in nuns or in the monastery where they don't have to deal with life. You know what I mean? That's not uncommon, because they want to pursue their spiritual, that's all they want to focus on. It's natural for us to kind of hide out in our own world. But you have something to contribute very powerfully to the world, and I don't want you to hide out. I want your gifts to be used, okay? And that's why any classes that you can take along with the other things you're learning that have practical skills for the world, business, finance, anything like that, you're going to need it. Because I really see you building something from the ground up in life, like structures, you know, some kind of building that will house this spiritual journey that you're getting ready to impart, you know, getting ready to be a part of. Is any of that resonating with you? Does that feel like that's kind of making sense? Okay. All right. I'm so sorry our volume got down, but let me just look here a little bit more. You're going to have your first Saturn in about, well, in 10 years, okay? So from right now to the next 10 years, okay, is going to be a steady climb of learning. You're going to be on a learning path. That's not to say you might do a lot of different jobs. You might learn how to do a little bit of everything in your life. You might try this job, try that job, just to get your experience. Don't hesitate to try different things, because I really believe every little job that you have and everything that opens up to you is a part of helping you master this skill. Master you as a teacher. And some of it might be, you know, you're hands-on, even if you volunteer. You know, and I mentioned earlier about hospitals and stuff, because, you know, you're going to be drawn to that type of work. I mean, also with a chart like this, you could see somebody working with senior citizens, you know, doing healing work with them, Reiki, or, you know, a massage, or spiritual, coming to them and giving a spiritual message on Sundays to them. You know, you can be a volunteer in a lot of ways, because money isn't, it's kind of weird, because money is important to you, but really not what totally motivates you at all. Money is just an ends to a means, okay? And that's why when I talk about money, you're like, yeah, okay. But I really believe for the type of future that's coming your way, you're going to have to handle a lot of money. You're going to have to handle a lot of money to facilitate this dream. And you just want to look at money as energy. Okay, money is just energy. But you've got to have a good business mind for this. So you're going to be in school the next 10 years, meaning school of life. And every person that comes on your path is going to help guide you to that next step. Okay? You're going to be like a pioneer right now, just a warrior. And you might even feel like you're kind of alone right now. Not alone, that you don't have people that love you, but this dream, this vision, a lot of people may not understand. As you are growing, it might feel like something that you try to tell people and they just can't comprehend it, because it's going to be that big. It's powerful for you. And it's such on a spiritual level that most people aren't able to go there on those spiritual discussions and stuff. You'll have your few people, and they'll come in your path. They'll be like you and I being able to have this discussion. I'm Pisces. You've got the Pisces. We're talking deep. These kind of people will come in and guide you, and you'll be like, oh, you know, sometimes you're going to feel like a fish out of water. Okay? Sometimes you're going to be like a trout that's swimming upstream. You just don't want to be the catfish. You want to be the trout. Because Pisces is the fish. Some Pisces turn into the sharks. But I really feel like I see a trout here that swims upstream. But you're going to get there. After you hit your first Saturn, the theme of your life is going to change a lot. And like I said, that's when you turn 28. You'll probably go through a real spiritual process during those 2 years. After that, you're going to move into what's called your North Node. And in your chart, your North Node is in Libra. And Libra represents other people, partners, other people coming in to help you. It could represent, you know, a congregation. It could represent a full group of people that you're working with. You're working as a team now. For the first few years, right from like right now till 28, you're going to be kind of a solo mission. I'm going to make this happen, and you're going to have your own motivation. But people will start recognizing what you've done and accomplished. Okay, so that's what's hard about when I do these readings. When I talk to someone that's young, I want to show you what's going to happen when you're 35. I want to show you what could happen when you're 40. But I have to remember that you've got everybody goes through from 20 to 30 as learning life, as an apprentice of life, and then you become the master, and then you truly become the teacher. Now, when I was younger, worked at the church and did did Bible studies and used my teaching gift. I had opportunities to work. I worked in a women's rehab program, so there you go with rehabilitation. I was always attracted, different people that were struggling at the bottom of the barrel people, because I knew I could be one, and I was so grateful I, was above, rising above, so I wanted to bring them with me. And I knew the potential of that. I understood the depth of somebody being at the bottom of life with no hope. And you are someone that's going to bring hope. There's times you're going to have to be a little competitive and fight for what you want, fight for your life, fight for your drive, because a lot of times when you do have such a spiritual calling, the darkness gets a little afraid of that, and get you off track. So that's why I like knowing that you have solid people protecting you and guiding you and not letting you get off track. You are so special right now. I can't even stand it what I'm seeing for you. And I don't want you to take one wrong step. You will. You'll take all kinds of steps. But you have so much potential here, honey, okay? This is a lot. And, again, I wish we could talk more, but if there's anything, you want to talk about, you can always email me or share with me, that because sometimes the Pisces does go through certain sufferings in life, some certain sadnesses that they can feel alone, or they can feel misunderstood. And it's because in those alone times, when we're alone, is actually when we're able to regenerate ourselves and able to do our best work, our best creations, our best imaginations. So being alone is actually a beautiful thing. But when you're young, and everybody's out partying, everybody's out having a good time, or whatever the scenario is, and you're like home studying, spiritual things, you feel like, am I a nerd? What's wrong with me? But nothing, because you're an old soul. So you're kind of more mature spiritually than the people around you. And you just have to trust that in the end, or as you go, it'll make sense. You'll have more deeper, closer relationships around you that are special than just everyone. Now, with a chart like yours, you can influence a huge mass audience of some kind. So that would be someone who's a preacher. You could be a preacher. With the 10th house Sagittarius, that is the preacher teacher. And there are a lot of women that preach, and share. So again, I really see that you got this gift from your from your family. You've got a grandmother that show you how to build something from the ground up. You've already been being taught these things. You've been being prepared from the time you came to this earth. Okay? And right now, like I said, you're getting triggered at a young age to jump, to go down a certain path that's a little more mature. I'm just looking at some other things here. Yeah, you are, wow, okay. One of the things when I look at your chart, this is kind of interesting. Whenever I see the numbers 4, and I'll send you a copy of the chart I'm looking at because you might have a different calculator. But when I see the degrees land on 4, like 2244, that tells me something very special. I see that in people's charts that do ultimately live a spiritual life and have an amazing spiritual message to give. And in your chart, your 4th house is in Gemini, which rules your home, which means there's a lot of communication in your home. A lot of people talk in your home. You guys might talk about a lot of things, and there's a lot of good energy in the home. If you were born with the 4th house in Gemini at 2244 degrees. Well, 2244 is a spiritual vibration. So it allows you to again connect on this higher vibration of spirituality than most people. Gemini is the communicator. Your family has taught you this. You know, you've had your family influence. That's your family. So I see it in your chart. And the other place that 2244 falls is in your 10th house Sagittarius, which is your ability to possibly preach out into the world. Teacher, preacher. Possible you could even be a writer, but you're going to be more of an intuitive writer. Okay, so if you do write poetic or spiritual messages or anything like that, keep writing. Okay, keep writing and learning that gift. That's another thing. You can go to school to learn writing. I always went back to school at 46 years old. Well, I went back at 42. I did an online program at Full Sail University for creative writing and entertainment. After 40, because I want to be able to try to write. I have a heart of a writer, and I got a message, so I had to learn the skills to be a writer. So I just finished. I have a BFA in creative writing now. So that could be, you know, anything that's going to help hone in your skills that you have. Okay. But you're very, 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 very gifted spiritually. Everything just, you know, you have it's a very focused path, though. It's going to be a very specific path, and it will start to merge. It'll start to come together. Okay. But right now, like I said, you're just in that process. You're just in that now, the apprentice of life. So have fun with this. Have fun learning. Have fun exploring. Try everything that your heart desires. Don't hold back and think, I have to do one thing right now. No, everything you learn right now is going to give you a talent and a gift for later. You're going to use all of this in your lifetime. So I hope that was helpful. Give you some things, more things to think about. If you have any questions, just email me, or if you want to share more with me privately in a different setting, you know, you can message me. I'd like to kind of help mentor you a little bit, because I feel like I can really connect with your chart and understand, you know, the path of life you're going to take. But, you know, the sky's the limit for your dreams, honey. You just got to dream them, and you just got to follow through, and don't take your eye off the ball. Okay? All right, sweetie. I will send you the copies of these videos. They'll go on YouTube in a little bit. The world will see. But you know, again, if you have anything else you want to talk about or share with me or anything, you can email me, okay? And I want you to update me. Let's stay in touch. I want to follow your journey. Okay? All right, honey. All right, sweetie. Well, I got to get going, but we'll talk some more later, okay? All right. Talk to you later. All right. Bye, hun.